The ayahuasca with the shamans in the Amazon drink the ayahuasca root, and that gives them some hallucinogen that they're going back to the womb and all this stuff. You know, mushrooms. There's certain mushrooms that you could eat that are hallucinogen. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. But again, back to the whole idea of Solomon. So, because he's mentioned in the Bible, we have to go to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary to get the definition of what Solomon is. Like, we can't just say, oh, yeah, the preachers talking about Solomon and that, oh yeah, you know, we can't find his temple, but you know, he existed. But the people aren't using this. People are basing their information, like what Muslim group is talking about, they're not basing their information on something factual. They're basing it on some opinion, on some belief. So it says Solomon, and then it has a comma, and then it says Sol, on. Now, Sol is son, and is son, and on is son. Sol is son, S-O-L, O-M is son, and then O-N is son.
That would make the temple of Solomon you.
Exactly. So, Solomon means whole, entire, complete, integral, peace, concord, integrity, soundness, peaceful, pacific. A son of David of Bathsheba and king of Israel after David. 2 Samuel 12:24, 1 Kings 1:32-12. The metaphysical meaning of Solomon, the state of mind that is established in consciousness when the soul is unified with wisdom and love. That Solomon stands for more than a great Hebrew king and a wise man is quite evident to those who have searched deeply in religious and mythological history. As students who look especially for information about the individual man, we discern in Solomon a development of the presiding genius at the heart center. In scripture, brain and nerve centers, or more strictly speaking, thought centers, are designed as cities, and the presiding or ruling intelligence that controls or directs the work of any center as a personality. Jerusalem, city of peace, stands for the heart center, and Solomon, peaceful man, stands for the presiding intelligence. When the ruling intelligence is in harmony with the fundamental character of the center, rapid construction of the spiritual body goes on. We are told that David could not build the great temple because he was a man of war. When violent and resistant emotions hold sway in the mind, the turmoil is such as to prevent any permanent construction of the new body on the higher planes of consciousness. So we see the importance of cultivating peace instead of war, non-resistance instead of resistance, harmony and love instead of discord and hate. Solomon was also a great judge. When asked by the Lord what he should give him, Solomon chose wisdom over riches and knowledge, or over riches and honor. Chose wisdom over riches and honor. Now, Sheba's also in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. And Sheba, the metaphysical meaning of Sheba, Sheba pertains to the wholeness or fullness on some plane of existence. Return to an original state, rest, repose, equilibrium, reintegration, restoration. Whether or not this thought of wholeness, of bringing to fullness and stabilization belongs to the inner or outer man, to good or to seeming ill, depends on who the person in the Bible named Sheba were and on their history. Those who were of Israel and were constructive in their activities would refer to the higher and more spiritual thoughts than those who were descended from Ham and from others who were not of Israel. The Queen of Sheba indicates the ruling intuitive intelligence of the whole consciousness, pertaining to that part of beginning which has to do with nature. we are to understand that Solomon, in meeting and entertaining the Queen of Sheba, had to meet and impart to his body consciousness and intuitive wisdom that he had not previously possessed. Solomon, in the wisdom of the Spirit, comes in touch with his unilluminated natural being, the Queen of Sheba. So, the meaning that they're talking about is the raising from the lower self to the higher self. And the fact that we are spiritual beings. Like, we're not just some beings that are supposed to take something and just read it just because, you know what I mean? Just because it says this thing, you know? Again, when we look at the items received, right? They received the triple crown. The triple crown is the 3 pyramids in the Giza Plateau. The triple crown is your pineal gland, pituitary gland, and hypothalamus gland that sit in your brain. The triple crown is the fact that when you illuminate yourself to that highest level of receiving information, and when you receive, actually applying the information that you receive, you gain enlightenment. And by gaining enlightenment, you basically remove yourself from this physical existence and become your higher self. The self that is able to manifest at will. The self that could walk on water. The self that could feed a multitude of people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Once you decide that I'm not just this physical vesture, like I'm also a spiritual being, you directly connect yourself to that. And your physical person now becomes your ego, or the one that's against you getting enlightened. And it's going to do everything that it can to keep you from getting enlightened. Whether it's making you feel that you just gotta go to this party, or making you feel that you just gotta like have this one more drink, or smoke this one more spliff, or let me just not read this book that I just got today, let me just, you know, do something contrary. Because we are more than just our physical vesture. As Rastafarians, they say that it's about living and becoming the person that you look up to. It's about walking in the steps of His Imperial Majesty, doing as He does, because we know that He did the most righteous stuff. We know that He was able to go amongst nations. Like He was able to go amongst nations that didn't look like Him and have them bow to Him. They weren't bound to Him because He was God. They were bound to Him because He was the emperor. He was the last reigning monarch from ancient times, still manifested in the physical. Like He's saying, 3,000 years before Solomon and Sheba, 3,000 years before, that line was going on. And He's coming as the manifestation for us to see that we are dignitaries on this planet. We are not just some people that belong to these little race game labels that don't connect to nothing. Like we're going to say that we're black and we're colored and we're Rastafarian and we're Muslim and all these labels that don't connect us to anything other than being under the person's jurisdiction who made up that label. So if we say that we're black and we know that we're not black, like black is not our pigmentation. Like our pigment is called melanin. A European is not a white person. They're not white per se. So when Rastafarians talk about, oh well, whatever with the white man and the white man put us in slavery and the white man, they're saying that they themselves put themselves in slavery. Because white man means Lord of the land. And if this that we're standing on is land and Lord has to do with ownership, the European is not the Lord of the land. Because like Haile Selassie said, we've been here. We've been here before the European. And we had Christianity so long that he's just now catching up. But again, it's a grafted history. Because the whole idea of them taking control of Ethiopia was to get rid of the stronghold that was enabling them to say, okay, we're the monarchy. Like the British monarchy, the British monarchy is basically run through the Pope of Rome. So the Pope is the real power. And that's the powerhouse. And everything goes through the Pope. Now the Pope is identified, like this is not what I say, this is the Pope. Like the Pope is recognized with a coat of arms. And this is the Pope's coat of arms. And this is the corner right here, there's a Moor right there. Their dignitaries or whatever die, they drape on the coffin a Lion of Judah. Just go look at all the funerals or whatever that happen in the British monarchy. How come the British monarchy is using a Lion of Judah? Because they know where the power lies. And they know that we are not in our right standing. They know that we're not in our right standing. We're misrepresenting ourselves by claiming to be a label that somebody else says we should be.